Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my 12-part eclipse series on the eclipses going through the signs and houses. Definitely go to lumelife.com, L-U-M-E life.com, which is my school, Luminous Life Multiversity, to enroll in free courses and all kinds of other offerings I have through there. And when you search for my name, Annie Botticelli, in an internet search, you'll see all kinds of listings of mostly free resources that I make for you to facilitate your study of astrology and your quest for vibrational wellness. So this series is talking about eclipses. I'm doing one eclipse video for each sign and house. Okay, so every sign in astrology corresponds with a house in the zodiac wheel. And so an eclipse in a certain sign is also the energy of that corresponding house. And this becomes very helpful to understand when you want to go deeper in your study of eclipses and how they may affect you, and understanding the opportunities and the lessons that are at play during each eclipse cycle. Each eclipse cycle is about 2 years long, and every 6 months in those 2 years we have a hot spot where the actual eclipses occur. So the storylines, the themes, the lessons, the opportunities, the chances to clear karma and get on our dharmic path, which is our highest expression path, which is what the eclipses really represent. They occur along the nodal line, and the nodes represent clearing karma and stepping into our highest expression. So every eclipse that we have and every eclipse cycle that's at play is really facilitating us in healing, clearing karma, and on stepping on our highest trajectory, which is our dharma, our purpose, why we're here. So that's why it's really important to understand them, and why I spend so much time creating resources to facilitate this for you. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a background on what eclipses, what they represent and what they can bring, and then we'll go into the featured sign and house for this video. Okay, so these eclipses happen twice a year usually. Sometimes it's every 6 months basically, so it could be the beginning of one year and then in the middle and then towards the end, or they're broken up that way. So when the eclipses come, they tend to bring alive and into clear view that scientific law that matter is not created, neither created nor destroyed, it just changes form. We can really see that at play at the eclipses, where it's taking energy from one area, because the eclipses run with polarities. Okay, so there are 12 signs and there are 6 polarities. So there's signs that oppose each other, that are a pair. And the eclipses happen in these 2 opposing signs throughout that 2 years. So it's a reshuffling and a reworking of energy. So one eclipse cycle, it will take from one area and add to the other, and vice versa. So we're just kind of shifting and reshuffling and reorganizing energy in those arenas of your life. The eclipses occur in certain signs, and those effects are global. But they also drill down into certain areas of your chart for each sign, and that understanding this and watching these videos will help you to take the work deeper. Now, in order to figure out during each eclipse cycle what houses are being accentuated for you personally, just watch my monthly videos, and somewhere in the area of the eclipse time, I'll be talking about it, but it will save me a lot of time having this video series to refer you to, so we don't have to cover all of this in each of the horoscope videos, which is what I used to do. Okay, so this reshuffling of energy, where basically the energy isn't it isn't created, it changes forms. So we might see a grandparent die and a child be born. So for that person who's experiencing that, it's like an area of their lives that was present with them for their whole lives is gone, but now this new energy is here. So it's like this major reshuffling of energy, and it very often has very, very major trajectory changes for a lot of people, and it's going to depend on the exact degree that it's hitting planets in your chart. But if it's really affecting you, you'll know it. Everybody else may have a subtle change that's harder to notice or recognize, but it's definitely affecting everyone, regardless of whether we're aware of it or not. And the more you look, the more you'll see these things at play. So eclipse season, what I call eclipse season, lasts about 4 to 6 and even sometimes 8 weeks before the actual eclipse. You'll see a heating up. It's kind of like, I always think about it as a pot on a stove, where it's like a certain pot, okay, and a certain liquid in that pot that has a certain energy that has the signs that are in that eclipse cycle. And during the actual eclipse time, it heats up to a boil, you know? And then during the times in between, it's like down to a simmer. And then we turn up, you know, the universe cranks up the messages and they convert from the inner world into the outer world, and we get to see them more clearly. And so it heats up and then it kind of fades back down, and it heats up, but the themes are always at play for these 2 months. For these 2 years. Okay, so just make sure I tell everything else. So the things that happen at eclipse time tend to feel destined a lot of times, where things happen, and a lot of times it's out of our control. Eclipses often bring non-negotiable changes to our lives. It can be very scary and very stressful. So it's definitely a key point around eclipse time to do modalities that help you to ease anxiety, and I discuss those in videos and other offerings that I have on how you can keep the anxiety level low so that you can stay connected with your intuition and with spirit and navigate through them in the easiest way. Okay, so even though there are certain things in our lives that are fated and unavoidable, there are definitely things we have some say in, and we can shift our experience of those events. So understanding all of these things and doing inner work to help clear out the karmic gunk that's coming up can be part of how we can have a better experience of the things that are fated to happen. Okay, so just make sure there's everything I wanted to talk about there. Okay, yeah, so just the overview is that eclipses as an astronomical occurrence happen at the time they're happening, but eclipses as an astrological occurrence happen for all of the time they're occurring. And you'll notice for the years that a certain eclipse cycle is happening, if you go back to the last time or last times that eclipse cycle happened, there are themes at play that will likely come back into your life. It doesn't mean the same things will happen per se, but you'll see the same lessons, the same topics that are moving you along in a certain area of life. Okay, so now let's check out the sign and house of focus. Eclipse time tends to be an emotional time, since the eclipses are talking about eclipses involving the moon. And the moon rules the inner world, the realm of emotion. So emotions, for better and worse, are a general theme for eclipse time. We tend to have dramatic occurrences and sometimes just breathtaking, awesome, brilliant new opportunities. So basically things being eclipsed out, things being eclipsed in, and it's just a pretty wild time of major trajectory changes, things coming to fruition, things ending, and things beginning. When there are eclipses in the 9th house or Sagittarius, teaching is a major topic. So you as a teacher, people in the teaching field will see a lot of changes in how they're doing their work. The topic of learning and teaching are pretty much related, and they're both Sagittarius things. So getting educated, learning, your learning journey, educational resources, programs, schooling of any kind can come to an end or come to a fruition. You could be graduating with the eclipse energy, or you could be starting a new chapter, or you could be moving along a continuum of learning or teaching. Some people who are not yet teachers but who are born to be will step out into the teaching realm when it's eclipse time. So anything having to do with writing and publishing and speaking, and again, this is related to teaching. People who are writing, a lot of people who write and are publishing have something important to say. They have a message. Speakers, bringing information out to people, expanding people's horizons. So new projects, publishing launches, movement along, those fronts are very, very, very common. Could be the completion of a book, could be the launch of a book, could be a new speaking opportunity, things like that. Chances to go into the international realms, whether it's via the internet through international business and expanding your work out into an international venue, or actually physically traveling, or interacting with people through your work that are in different countries. I always call this energy of Sagittarius the sage on the mountain, where if there's a little village that has their water source disappear, and they go up to see the sage on the mountain, and the sage says, well, I can see that 3 miles up there's a beaver dam. You just clear the dam and you'll have your water back. You know, it's this idea of solutions. It's this idea of solving problems with a different mindset than was created. Einstein said, you can't solve problems with the same mindset that they were created. You have to break out and look at it from a different point of view. And when there's a Sag or ninth house eclipse, sometimes that new viewpoint or that new solution or new optimism will come in. Your actual belief systems and ways of looking at the world can change drastically with an eclipse in the ninth house or Sagittarius. So a way that you saw something could change. You know, a separation from a certain religion or spiritual path can occur. For some people, a dark night of the soul, where they're in that process of not really being sure of their footing in that space. And sometimes a new philosophy or a re-energizing of a previous philosophy, getting on your spiritual path in a bigger way, either from, you know, going back to an old method or a new way of seeing things is very common. So things having to do with belief systems can come to a head or can come into the forefront. And so can work with a church or general spiritual work come in as a big focus. Some people might just see changes within their church or their spiritual ways. So like, you know, a new pastor or a new, you know, spiritual leader or new resources along those fronts. This energy of Sagittarius also has to do with adventure. So the Sag or ninth house eclipse can bring you on an adventure. A lot of times this does involve traveling, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it could be a new tool or, you know, even a book series or a project that is a major, major adventure, doing something that stretches you out of the norm and often out of your comfort zone. I've seen many people have a change with the eclipse in the ninth house or Sagittarius with the taking in or the putting out of information. Okay, so this is along the lines of this teaching and learning. But something like taking the knowledge that you have and doing something with it. A book is one of those ways, talking, you know, publishing, things like that. Sometimes it could be a blog or some other resource where you take this big accumulation of your knowledge and you actually start doing something with it. And for others who have been focusing on those realms, they can start to focus on more mundane or more practical uses of teaching. So this can go anything from like, here I have all this information, here is how you use this information in a practical way, or going and stretching out into, you know, more and more information. So it rules information small, like micro information and macro information. So moving along those fronts, sharing information in those ways. And for many people who are learners, you keep taking in information, but you get bottlenecked because you have no outlet. So this eclipse, for many people, will open you up to an outlet to start draining out of your field all of that information that you've taken in and putting it into something usable or even something lofty and more philosophical. But in any case, a conduit to get it out so that you can have your creative flow back, because you get all of this information out of your space and into, you know, where it can be used. Different cultures and immersing in different cultures and different languages, so learning different languages can also be part of this ninth house and Sagittarius specific, or having someone from a different country come to stay with you, or having a relationship with someone from a different country where different cultures and languages come in to your experience in a pronounced way. So I hope you loved this. Definitely look at my other resources. If you search for my name, Annie Botticelli, online, you'll find tons of things that I offer you. You can go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, for lots of blogs and other things that can facilitate your journey. You can go to cozybysweetstarlight.com for written horoscopes, lifestyle blogs, and astrology kissed information that I think you will just love. You can go to lumelife.com, LUME-life.com, to see my school, Luminous Life Multiversity. And definitely check out my growing list of books, including my new book, Planetology. If you search for Annie Botticelli and Planetology and Annie Botticelli, Radical Prayer, those are the two books that are out as of the time of my recording this. And I'm sure as this goes on, you will see more books coming out from me. I hope you have a wonderful eclipse season, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!